Hello and welcome to the Rules of Acquisition Remix. I am 1/3 of the Kickers of Elves, Hugh Crawford, and your host for this evening's remix. Today we will be talking about Sanctuary. This episode originally aired August 29th, 2016 is when we dropped this episode, so that was almost 5 years ago. And anyway, here's the episode. I hope you enjoy it. Stick around for after the episode where I will be talking about some facts that we have learned and some insights that we have gained in the time since this episode originally aired. All right, on with the show.
Gross bumpy flaky eczema skin. Oh yeah. Amish clothes and Mormon sister-wife hairstyles. Oh yeah. Repugnant attitudes towards monogamy, intimacy, and men in general. Oh yeah. It's time for the rules of showing female-led societies as unacceptable to everyone.
Hello and welcome to The Rules of Acquisition, a podcast where we're going through Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But you know that because you clicked on it and that's what it says and you're not an idiot. Yes, that's right. Deep Space Nine, the best Star Trek show ever. That's right. I said it. Right. Oh, my God. With me, as always, is James Nolan.
Hey, gentlemen.
And Hugh Crawford.
Hello.
And my name is Wade Bowen. And we're really well into Season 2 again. And we're talking about an episode called Sanctuary.
That's right. This episode originally aired November 28th, 1993. It's episode 10 of season 2. The IMDb description is as follows. A race that has been conquered twice over, one of the conquerors being the mysterious Dominion, comes to the station seeking aid and a new home.
Huh.
So, that's
the description that it says?
That's it.
Because that's not quite right, because according to, the way I read it, their conquerors were conquered by the Dominion, and that's what let them escape. There's 3 million of them on their way to St. Louis or Utah.
Yes. Kansas City.
And the Dominion came in and took over the Taragarans or something.
Right.
And then that's what let them, so they scrambled away while the Taragans were being dominated by the Dominion.
Yeah. And for some reason there's I guess it's a whole planet, a whole race of people that are basically human. They look exactly human except they have eczema, I guess.
yeah, like they're Oatmeal eczema space Mormons.
Yes.
These are the ugliest race that they've ever come up with, to me, that I've seen. I can't think of a race. It was literally just hard to look at.
Yeah.
Like everything about them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when they're hard to look at, they're like some weird genital face.
Yeah, like...
But this is just like...
I would have rather this to have genital faces or walnut-shaped heads or whatever object that they had to go by. But this, it was like, it was in the uncanny valley because it was close enough to a person.
Yeah.
Right.
And their oatmeal-y eczema skin was just so gross. It looked like, I was like, are they all
burn victims or something? Or
yeah, and they flake. Later on it said they flake. So yeah.
Quark is like, it's gross. There's skin flakes of the Skorians all over the bar.
And all the
and here's the thing, guys, this is a civilization that's a matriarchal civilization. Mm-hmm. Okay, the women are in charge. And what's interesting to me is that they have to make the matriarchal society, like, did they feel hamstrung by that aspect? Like, they couldn't make them attractive, or else it looks like they're trying to take away their accomplishments.
Oh, is that, yeah.
Or is it they can't be hot and powerful at the same time because nobody would believe that? Like, is misogyny at play, or actual, like, right thinking at play, or is it not well thought out at all? Huh. And they just had oatmeal in the, you know, and
that's exactly what, like, from what I can tell, it was a pretty bland. Okay, the history of this, how this episode came to be, is it was a slush pile pitch that for Star Trek, I think we're still doing that. for Next Generation, where they're taking stories and adapting it that was pitched for Next Generation and adapting it to the new ship. It was originally...
It does look like a shitty first season Star Trek alien.
Yeah, so it's still slush piley. Then a guy named Frederick Rappaport, who I believe may have been in the writer's room for the second season, took it and rewrote it. And wrote it, and it obviously did the major adapt. And then Michael Piller and Ira Stephen Bear stomped on it. Piller made it a little bit better, and then Ira Bear stomped on it. Ira Bear's big contribution was Ira Bear's a Hack Volume 40. He took it, and he was the one that made not only a matriarchal society, not only that, but the women usually take multiple husbands and fuck them at the same time. So she was getting... So the idea of this Mormon lady getting spit roasted was like... was Ira Stephen Bear's idea.
Uh-huh.
And I think that making them look
like
Mormon,
husbands, she doesn't even know what husbands are. Husbands?
Whatever. Like
they're bonded to me.
Well, listen, I think that this is a good time to like take a quick break, step back, and remind our listeners that you're not going to hear the phrase spit roasted in any other Star Trek podcast, and that you need to leave a comment
yes.
in the iTunes, 5 stars, because you're only getting this from us. Nobody else is providing spit roasted in their Star Trek commentary.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my little plug.
You can make a good point.
Yeah.
See, that's the way I took them being so plain looking. I just took that as them just doubling down on them being like reverse Mormons. Instead of having a bunch of wives, they have a bunch of husbands. So they had to make them look frumpy and like...
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Like they're Amish, but space Amish. So they have weird hypercolor little stuff outfits, but they're like basically Mennonites or something. They have the hair, dumb hair.
Yeah, the women have the weird broad like hair fin thing. And the men are ridiculous looking because they have this like weird kelp hair. They look like Cabbage Head from The Kids in the Hall.
Wait, I thought that wasn't hair, but it was actually like a towel on their head.
Yeah, I thought it was a...
I think the first time I thought it was hair, and then no, it was a wrap. Yeah,
but they do look like Cabbage Head.
I got a cabbage for a head. Come on.
Right.
I like a race of cabbage heads.
So her husbands, her bondeds, looked less like a wrap and more like they were trying to make some weird hair. But when Boner came on later on, that was like a wrap.
Right.
So it was more clear that...
Okay, well, we all know who he is, right? Should we take a moment to address...
Tumak?
No, yeah.
Well, the actor,
Oh.
to address who the actor is in the Star Trek universe.
Mm-hmm. That is Andrew Koenig. That is Walter Koenig's son.
Right, he's Chekhov's boy.
Chekhov's boy. And, okay, he was Boner on Growing Pains.
Yes, he was Boner.
He was Boner on Growing Pains.
Right.
And he was good. I don't know. I haven't watched Growing Pains since I was a little kid, but I don't remember him being awful.
I remember, yeah,
But he was awful in this.
Yeah, well.
And then I was going to say a bunch of bad shit about him, and then I read up on him, and he...
Oh, it's sad, yeah.
Yeah, he committed suicide in 2010. So, I mean, like, it's sad, so I don't... Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't read as like, oh my God, this guy's awful. It's just like, I was too distracted by the eczema skin and everything. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he seemed like...
There's something just fundamentally gross with how they look, because their skin is fucked up. So it's like, yeah,
it's usually, I feel like this is usually when you have an alien that looks like this, it's like, oh, this race has some plague that they can't cure or something, like they do that, and
yes,
Voyager does that, but, you know.
And they had to make it the extra mile. They had to go the extra mile with making it like that they were flaking off everywhere. Clark was having to clean them, and I was like, that's even grosser. God, guys, like shit.
Yeah.
It really just it really plays into like the dirty immigrant trope that they deal with, though.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Like that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're gross.
I mean, and I'm going to have a lot to say, like in the what would you change about this episode. But obviously, if they could have showed more tension between Bajor and the Skreans,
yeah.
Like,
okay, so that's what the whole. Okay, let's...
That was, I was going to save that for what would we change too. But yeah, let's...
Yeah.
To summarize real quick, these Skreans have a religious text that tells them that they're going to find a planet of sorrow that's going to be their new homeland. It's going to be like a promised land that they were promised by some sort of entity, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically Battlestar Galactica, right? Except instead of Earth, it's Quintana.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they determined that this planet is Bajor like 20 minutes into this episode, and then Bajor, in the 22nd minute, decides that they can't live there, and then they have a little conversation about it. and then we have a third act that is a complete mess as a result.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, we should have found out in like minute 5 that these people thought Bajor was their home, and then the rest of the episode should have been about the tension.
Yeah,
Well, I
well,
think-
5
yeah.
minutes in,
Yeah.
they don't show up because the first opening pre-credit scene is Cisco bringing Kira into his office, like, "Hey, get your shit together." But then they actually do a good job with Kira. I thought, like, having her.
Which that was a nice that was a nice that was a nice moment. Like when he takes her aside.
Yeah, no, I like that whole.
Like I like the little workaday shit, like where hey, we work together, and you're kind of sucking at your job, like, and it's because Bajor's a fucking mess.
Yeah, it really did a good job of setting her up as the person that has to deal with all the Bajoran bullshit. Everybody's asking her to call in for a favor. She's got to talk to the ministers and the Vedic Assembly, and they're all pains in the ass. But at the end of the day, she still just has to get her paperwork in for Cisco. It's like, I don't care what you do, just get your shit done. And she's like, you're right. Mm-hmm. And then they go in, and then
it's interesting. I'm going to make the point that her going from somebody who's a freedom fighter who is in the shit to all of a sudden have to be put up with bureaucracy on a daily basis is an interesting character thing. And it's interesting to see them work with that. I think that's kind of what they were trying to go for.
Right. Yeah,
with that scene.
Well, yeah, and marry it to the next scene, which, like to marry it to
and then the guy that goes in, the Varani is playing the most amazing music, which is just the Deep Space Nine theme song.
Yes.
Because
I called him in my notes the Bajoran Zamfir, master of the Etsy bong sax.
Right. Quark's doing her a favor because she said, oh, he should be playing in the concert halls. And it just goes back to that whole thing in Star Trek. In the future, music sucks. when we solved all our problems, we have no good art because it's all boring bullshit.
But that, I think I was going to jump ahead, that ties into why she thinks that it's the place of sorrow, because he gave her a little video recording of him playing it.
Hologram.
Him playing at Coachella.
His sad bastard flute music.
He was playing at Coachella like 20 years ago and gave her the clip. And she was like, oh, there's sax music on this planet. This has to be the right one. So
right.
That was why. And that's how they tied this guy in. Who, by the way, the actor of the Bajoran Zamfir was...
he just passed away recently, yeah.
Holy shit, did he? Oh, I was gonna say he was in a trouble. He was one of the actors in a Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh yeah.
He was the undersecretary of.
Yeah, he passed away this year. Yeah, it's not that long ago.
Oh wow. Yeah. So he's in a classic Star Trek episode. I think we're kind of throwing him a bone.
Yeah.
He's friends with. I was reading an article about it, and he was older, and he hadn't worked much, and he was friends with Armin Shimmerman's wife, who was also in this episode.
Really, as who?
Did she play a space Mormon?
No, she was the head of the Bajorans.
Oh, Minister Roseanne.
Minister Roseanne is.
Oh,
Minister
wow.
Roseanne.
Yeah, you didn't think Armin Shimmerman could get that woman, did you?
Wow, way to go.
He looks a lot better out of the makeup, Hugh.
But Armin Shimmerman's a guy that can walk into any bar and walk out with any woman. I guarantee you, he's that guy.
Hey, I find him rather charming.
That guy. When you look at Armin Shimmerman, you look at him and you go, "That guy fucks."
Whoa. I was just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
He's like Zach Woods on Silicon Valley.
Because I'm looking at the rest of you guys. This is the guy in the house doing all the fucking. Am I right? You know I'm right.
Silicon Valley. I was so silly. Like that guy. That guy fucks.
He said that guy fucks.
This guy fucks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So where are we going?
Oh, yeah. He plays the boring ass theme song, and then I sat like, okay, let me watch I usually just skip straight through the credits because it's so long and everything's like, well, let me sit down and watch it since they showed it to us again. It's like, nope, still boring as hell.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about that scene with Quark is that you have, or that whole intro scene between Kira, between dealing with Cisco and dealing with Quark, is that it made me realize that probably the two people that have the most in common on the whole show are Cisco and Quark. They're both administrators trying to function a business in like a complicated environment. Like the show never really plundered because they just sort of default gave Cisco the disgusted at Ferengi bullshit. But like, it seems like they have a lot in common. They're both I mean, they're hard workers, but they're built, like we said, they're trying to make Cisco a builder as opposed to an explorer. He's a builder.
Right. Quark is the captain of his own ship, too. The bar.
Yeah, and when Quark was going over he checks his profit rates hourly and then puts them up to a projection.
Yeah.
And I was all like, I think that's supposed to make him sound money hungry, but that's exactly how you would work a business. Like, he's doing everything he just said is right.
Right. Yeah. Cisco and Quark.
Cisco probably does the same thing with all of his Federation
Maybe. I feel like they have very different metrics for success, though.
Sure.
Because Quark is always.
That's true.
Like, Cisco's metrics is, okay, is everybody getting along? Are they kicking us out? Do they still want a Federation presence?
Mm-hmm.
Is everybody happy? Are we dealing with these people coming through the wormhole? Quark is, I have to measure every hour to make sure my profits are off. Because Ferengi are very short-term thinkers as far as money. But it's like, all right, my profits are down this hour. What the fuck?
You're right.
Whereas Cisco is a long-term thinker.
I bet if I was in that writer's room, I would have pitched an episode where Cisco and Quark have to realize their similarities.
Yeah.
Okay, they switch bodies.
Maybe.
No, I'm just telling you, that's what the writer room would tell you, like, right back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh, do you mean like Freaky Friday?
No, I meant they had to do some sort of like PTA thing together where instead of Rom, Quark got drug into some sort of school Keiko shit.
Yeah.
And Cisco and them have to be parents. They have to like talk.
Yeah.
Like, I've been stuck in those meetings where you have to talk to my friends' kids, my son's friends' parents.
Uh-huh.
And, like, so you have to, like, hang out with them.
Right.
And, like, I think, like, that you could make it to where they meet on a non-adversarial Deep Space Nine sort of plane.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And then maybe, then plot ensues and they get stuck in a turbo lift or some shit, you know?
Right.
And like, they both have to use, they have to show their aptitude, their similar aptitudes.
Right.
But I don't know. It seems like that was, in that scene, I was like, they're both kind of, I don't know. It was a scene that showed Quark doing something functionally.
Right.
And showing that he wasn't just skeevy. He was like running a business.
Right.
Like he had spreadsheets. Quark knows how to use Excel.
Right. Yeah. But then that's his, at the beginning, pre-credits, after credits, with all the screen and stuff, he's just an asshole dad.
Yeah.
He's the father of the bully, basically. It's like, did you get caught?
Yeah.
Well, shit. All right, so you get out of this. He's,
Yes. Yeah, the second scene less so.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not complaining. I like that because he's like full bad guy. He's not trying to be likable at all. They're not trying to sell him as a lovable scamp, except he's more of your modern anti-hero by then because he's just an asshole.
Yeah. And I think that they're having too much fun with it at times and that. But yeah, that was a scene. That was a scene later on.
Yeah, that happened.
That was a scene.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a scene.
Yep, it sure was.
I don't know what to say about it.
We have like 10 minutes of them of the screen showing up, and they've got burns that don't look.
And they can't speak. The communicator. Why the fuck did they spend so much of the damn episode not communicating? Why was that a conceit of that? It took 10 minutes for the.
Yeah, I liked that they hand waved and said that was a thing. But they should have done that when the first thing came through the wormhole in season 1.
Yeah.
When the lizard alligator man came through, they should have done that then, and then to acclimate to Gamma Quadrant languages.
Yeah.
But like we've already seen so many come through the Gamma Quadrant now that it's a little late to have the translation matrix need to rewrite itself. It's like, what's so special about these guys?
Yeah.
It doesn't understand Mormon? I don't know.
And I'm gonna make my full critique known because most of my things are that this episode is like they don't spend any of the amount of time on the shit they should be spending it on.
That's what I'm saying. Is like the central question should be like, why won't the Bajorans let them settle on their planet?
It's a refugee. Explore the ramifications of refugee crises.
Right.
That's what it is. It's not like, oh, we thought she was saying she liked the dress, but we didn't know the language. And it didn't even come around that a language was a barrier to welcoming in refugees, which is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it didn't even use it like that. It was just like, wow.
And the way that, when I saw I watched with subtitles and I saw the language being set up, and I felt like, you know what? If I spent an hour trying to figure out what these words mean. I could have figured out the language myself. If you're going to have it be that complicated, just make them make gibberish noises, because they're saying screwed up, like full words that have nouns and everything.
They're saying basic
syntax.
Yeah, they're saying basic syllables. Yes.
Yeah, and they have a syntax that I could follow almost.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, okay, well, they should have spent 30 seconds if they're going to do that. Even, 20 seconds, they teleport on, they don't understand them for 10 seconds, then they understand them.
Yeah.
But somebody in the writer's room just, we don't do enough with the translator. Let's spend 10 minutes on it.
Ira Stephen Bear.
Ira
Stephen Bear.
James says it's Ira Stephen Bear, but sure.
No, I'm not. He took credit for it.
Of course.
I don't know. He apparently gave this really long interview, because like every episode on Memory Alpha, you look on trivia or production notes, and it'll have like, he apparently gave an interview where he said what was his idea in like every episode.
Oh, okay.
So I know exactly what Ira Stephen Bear came up with. Or sometimes it's not so much what he came up with, but what he likes.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes I'm just going to assume they're the same thing.
Yeah, like I say, I like the idea a lot, but it's like, it's a little late into the series to spend this much time on it.
Not in this episode. Yeah. Yeah, it's not in this. You got big fish to fry in this episode, and you're wasting all of this time. You have this scene with Jake and Nog where they talk about how he's dating a Dabo girl.
Dabo girl, yeah.
Which I know they do a lot with later, but at the time, I'm just like, Jake is 14, and Dabo girls are like strippers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, go Jake. Yeah.
Way to bury the lead. Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah. So, and I know
she's a Dabo girl who's an entomologist, so he can help her with that because, well, I don't know, education in the 24th century.
She's stripping her way through college.
Yeah, exactly. So she can talk about bugs, and Nog is like, what bug? Bugs? Oh, she must be a chef, which I thought was funny because
yes. Yeah. So it becomes like the Jake and Nog show while they piss off Boner for like way too many scenes.
Way too many scenes.
All this setup that Boner was the kind of guy who was going to steal a ship in the third act, all done off screen.
Right. Yeah, they spent all this time setting up men of the Scrayans as like subservient to the women.
Yeah.
And then, I wanted them to deal with that whole part of their culture. And it's nice that they didn't call him out and say, no, you have to let the men do whatever you want because it's prime directive and blah, blah, blah. But she's got the husbands and it's like, oh, men are good for things like fucking, right? You have men, right?
Spit roasting.
Yeah. And then you right, Kara? And Kara's like, no, I don't have any men. And she's like, oh, you poor thing. He's like, oh, I mean, right now.
Yeah. She said men are useful. And then Kara, like that was a well-written scene.
Yeah, it was.
Or section where she goes, yeah, I imagine. Like, yeah. So.
No, this episode who completely misuses all of their characters and shifts what their motivations are from scene to scene.
Because
so by the time, now we're getting into the point where we're talking about what we want. I think we're getting at the end of the episode. The kid gets in a shuttlecraft and ends up getting shot as he hurls himself toward the Bajor. That's how the thing ends.
Yeah, because he wants to go to Bajor because they don't want to go to Draylon 2 for some reason. Because of religion, I guess.
Okay, that's getting in. Yeah. Well, and here we have 2 episodes in a row where the third act is somebody getting into a shuttlecraft to die on purpose.
Good point.
Because that happened last week.
Yes.
And it seems it loses a little juice 2 weeks in a row. Like the second time it's like, really? We're going to the well on this again, huh? All right.
Yeah. And it was weird, like, I don't know, okay, like, I don't know, there might be some sort of backstory. I mean, obviously, Andrew Koenig is mercurial, and he, not just because of the way his life ended, but there's lots of other things that have gone through there. So it's possible that maybe they just lost him, like they didn't have access for him for the third act. But why do you have a character who is basically developed in Nog scenes do this giant, tragic thing in the third act, of which you never hear his voice, you never see his face, you never it's basically, it's all blips on a screen.
Right, yeah, that is
Like,
weird.
how is this supposed to carry the damn weight of of this story? Which is, and I'm going to say, a great Deep Space Nine story on paper. Why did you waste it on this shit? And it made me think that Boner got lost, that they lost Boner.
That makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Like maybe he just stopped showing up to set that week or something like that. And like maybe they just had to scramble. But I haven't read that anywhere, so I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, that's pure speculation. I think what's more likely is what you said at the beginning. This is a slush pile script that they use to shoehorn in some stuff that they're going to use later on, mainly the Dominion.
Yeah.
I think that you could tell where they're trying to take some shitty script and shoehorn some architecture for a bigger picture into it.
But I don't think that this had to be a shitty story.
No.
I think talking about refugee crises are...
No, I agree.
Yeah, there's so many interesting things that they could have went with it.
No, there's 10 minutes where I'm thinking this should be the episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's that conference like where they...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right before the conference where they make the call and they're like, okay, this is what my Bajoran government's going to do. Oh, you think this is what they're going to do? And, because Kira knows what they, what's going to happen.
Verani knows what's going to happen. Everybody knows what the answer's going to be.
Everybody, that was pretty good. And then the conference where they actually hear the word no was really good.
Yeah.
And there's a 8-minute stretch where you're like, holy shit, this could have been the whole episode. And all the other bullshit.
And then she turns to Kira. Kira has to say, no, I agree with... That's all... Like, I wrote in my notes. I'm sitting here looking at it. This meeting could have been epic. This could have been really, like, a really interesting, great scene in Star Trek, where all of these different ideologies come to the forefront and real-life issues are talked about in a sci-fi setting. And they did that in a hurry.
Yeah.
So that they could make time for, oh wow, he sprayed vapor poo on me, and like Nog talking about the 5 to 10 most wanted list on Odo's wall, none of which fed into the plot of the story at all.
You're saying you didn't like Plix Tixaplick, the Regranian weapons dealer?
I did.
I actually liked the Quark scene where he had to come into the security office and say, and he was like, "Oh, you got caught." Oh, he's the quintessential bully with a bully son, except as his nephew.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. But you're right. They shouldn't have wasted the time on that. They should have spent more time exploring the big questions of the episode.
Yeah, because they had to rush through all this
I like the Quark scenes, but you're right. They should it's not dealing with the questions of the episode. It's just...
And the last scene where the Mormon lady talked to Kira.
Harik?
And she's given this... Harik was her name?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Yes.
Sure.
It was fine. She's a fine actress. I don't know anything about it. Yeah, no, she's fine. But anyway, so she gives this speech about how Bajor is all fucked in their heads.
Yeah.
Because of the occupation. And if they keep on this track, they're not going to be able to unfuck themselves. Like, it's all really great. It's good stuff. And I don't know why it was all rushed towards an episode that is essentially just like a wet noodle of an episode, because it never got off the ground.
See, are we ready to jump into what we would change?
Yeah, I think we're all chomping at the bit to get to that. Wade, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I actually liked this episode. I was like, they spent time on things they didn't need to spend time on. I think it was more of a problem of just like knowing because like I actually liked most of this episode, the stuff that actually happened. I didn't hate Boner. I was willing to just deal with the characters and stuff. But you're right. If we're going to explore the themes of the episode, we should spend more time on these big questions and really play that stuff out. And they don't have time to, because they spend all this time worrying about his smoke bombs and then Quark in the office and everything. Mm-hmm. So you're right all about it. But the main thing I would have changed, the big question I would have, just the little thing would have been like, okay, Harik doesn't want to go to Draylon 2. She wants to go to Bajor. Because why? Draylon 2 and Cephala Prime sounds like a much better deal. They have a perfect planet to go to, and the only reason they don't want to go there is because this one woman who they've decided to make the leader, they didn't want the job, decides to get stubborn and say, no, I decided I wanted to be Bajor, and it's going to be Bajor now. And they're like, we have this perfect planet that has mild winters and perfect for farming, but you want to go to the northern peninsula of Bajor, which is fucked up from the Cardassians, and all our projections say that you'll probably die, but no, you want to go there because because you're just folding your arms together and you've decided. It's like, no, we've got better stuff. Because the thing that she has at the end of the episode, we're like, we're farmers. You have a famine on Bajor. We could have helped you, but you people are too scared and weak after the Cardassian occupation to take a risk where we could have solved your problems and helped each other out, which is what the Federation is all about, and everything is like coming together for stuff. Okay, that was a great thing at the end. Just instead of making it to where I just wanted to go to Bajor and you're being mean and you won't let me, so we're not friends anymore, Kira. Don't make Draylon 2 a less appealing option than Bajor. That's all you had to do. All you had to do is like say, Draylon 2 is suitable. It's going to be tough there, but
giant space worms.
Yeah.
Right.
The planet is riddled with giant worms.
Right. And Bajor's still a problem, so that's why they don't want him going there, but they're like, we're going to give you this whole planet to yourself. That's better, right? Instead of what the first choice, no, wait a minute, no, we could help you out. Bajor's better than this other place, but also it could be to your benefit, but you're too scared, and that's why you're assholes. But no, we don't want to go to this perfect temperate planet just because it's like, okay, that's all you had to do is make the better option Bajor. And then at the end, they really have to sit with their decision where they could have maybe even solved their famine problem.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I really thought about.
One of the things that made me think of something just from like human nature. If like because we have the Syrian refugee crisis, if all Syrians just got together, all Syrian refugees just got together and said, we want to go to Chicago. Really, really want to go to Chicago. Like Americans would be really, any country would be really iffy about, hey, why does it matter so much where you go?
Right.
We're Americans aren't trying, because we're assholes right now. But like, countries, the UN is trying to find places to put you. We're trying to fix your problem. But why are you so specific?
Yeah. We have better options.
That would make you suspicious. And I imagine that never came up as Bajors are like, why do they want to come here so bad?
Yeah.
Like, because wouldn't they be a little paranoid?
Yeah, right.
About that? Because it's kind of weird.
Yeah, they had, they're paranoid and weird after the Cardassians. Sure, that makes sense, but it's like... Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, you're right. Man, what a fucking mess of an episode.
Yeah.
Did you want to go next?
James,
I'll
go.
I'll just say, like, my thing is that this had all the benchmarks of a two-parter episode.
Yeah, I thought it might too, yeah.
If they not wasted it all on... Because we're talking about all the stuff they wasted, but that was character building, interesting stuff. Like, just make it a two-parter. Make it a bigger deal. Don't make it Boner stealing a ship. Make the people go a little over the line. Make them make a real offer to fix Bajor, to where, like, you're actually offering something that's hard for the Bajorans to turn down. Make it, like, a conflict of that. And because of that conflict, you see these sort of racial tensions that they were trying to off their cap at. They flake everywhere, and they're so weird, and they treat their men weird. All of that stuff could have been a little bit more of a context of like a clash of civilizations, a clash of society.
Yeah, like the Bajorans don't seem to have a problem with the Skrayans. It's just Ferengis are racist. It's...
Well, but but they were like, Bajorans don't like, that was the thing that, didn't Boner say that a couple of times?
Oh, yeah.
And he made that like tense thing with Jake, where Jake's like, why don't you want to go to the planet?
Yeah.
My dad found you.
And
they're like, do you want to go to that planet?
Like, no.
And he was like, no, but I'm not a fucking refugee. You are.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, my dad's commander of the station. Why would I want to go there? Like,
and if we don't, we have a planet that's not fucking under occupation. Like, we're in different situations here, kid. I'm sorry.
But he could have actually said, I don't want to be on this station, but I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Jake didn't ask to go to Deep Space Nine, but he's there.
Yes, things happen and you make the best of it. But no, that was just my whole thing, is just do all of the story, just make it two-parter. And it's super great, and therefore it feels satisfying at the end, and you feel like the Bajorans have squandered another opportunity to fix their planet, and that you felt like, things, you get all of the sides. It's an interesting conversation. It's why the inner politics of these races and cultures trying to get together and fix real world problems. That's what Deep Space Nine is about, and that's why it's great. Don't squander it by squeezing it into one episode.
Yeah. And the other thing I remember that I would change is just like, why does he go down to the planet in the first place? at least just have him overhear something his mom says about how great Bajor is going to be, and give him a reason not to want to go to Draylon too.
Oh,
but yeah, I already.
Yeah. That seemed like a scene that was cut.
Mm-hmm.
The whole character, well, I don't remember what his name. I'm calling him Boner.
Yeah, his name's Tumak, but we'll call him Boner.
Boner. Like, the whole thing with this character is if he is going to be the third act sacrifice.
You're getting into what I was going to change. I was getting in. Yeah, my whole thing. I'm going to cut you off.
You go. Boy.
Yeah, because you're getting into.
I already got one.
Well, my whole thing was that he has no actual like character motivation for hurling himself, other than he's an asshole. My whole thing is, why don't you lay some groundwork? You've got religion playing a major factor in them wanting to be at Bajor. Why couldn't he be more? Maybe that could be his. He could be more of a zealot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give him something. I don't know. Give him something. Some other reason other than he's just kind of a snotty asshole for hurling himself into Bajor to his death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my problem wasn't that he did that, even though it was 2 weeks in a row that they had somebody steal a shuttlecraft and hurl to their death.
Right.
My problem was that at least last week we had some character motivation. Even that was weak, but it was still like we understood where he was coming from. It was within his character.
A man was making informed choices we understood.
Right.
Yeah.
This week I was watching this episode and they're all staring in the third act. Everybody's like staring at like a big board on a dot on a screen, and they have like an open channel. And Space Boner's not saying anything back from the shuttlecraft, so it's all one-sided. They're all just like, "Don't do it, Tomahawk, don't do it," and you don't hear him respond at all. And I'm thinking, did I miss something? I feel like I wasn't watching closely enough. It wasn't that I missed something; it was just that it just didn't make any sense.
Nope.
Yeah, and then he shoots at the Bajorans, and they shoot back, and then
right,
and then shows that the Bajorans are good people, I guess, when they finally get the general in the line. They're like, it's a kid. And he's like, oh, it's a kid? Shit. Let me see what I can do. But then they shoot, then he blows up anyways.
Yeah.
But, they're not like, he's not an asshole military guy. He's like, oh, shit, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, all of that, if you're going to even if you're going to have that scene, why not show these people? Why not show, if Boner was available and on set, why not show him in the cockpit making these dumbass decisions? And then he gets so over his head that he can't, I don't know. I'm starting to get what's wrong with this season. It's that they're so close to fixing it. But they don't fuck up on the little things anymore. They're fucking up on the big things still. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, but all the little things are starting to fall in line. I now like all the characters. I like the setting. But like these just major weird, they're just not, they can't like put it together.
Right. They're depending on these slush pile scripts to like move the ball down the line, move the ball down the field for their larger story. And I kind of see that. But it's,
Are they just waiting like, oh man, I can't wait till Next Generation ends so that we can get all the good writers to actually write new scripts instead of going through their slush piles?
It feels like they're waiting down a clock of some sort. You're right. It does.
Well, we talked about this before. Every episode that we've done so far, we're still in 1993.
Right.
So, this is now, there was 19 episodes and we're now 10, so 29 episodes. All aired in 1 year. So maybe, I know that they did prep work in 92, but we're talking about all these shows aired. That's how sort of tight of a time that we have that they've been working on this. So maybe it's just, maybe they need like vacation.
Yeah.
Like you go away for 2 weeks and everybody comes back and they got ideas. Maybe it's just exhaustion of everything.
Yeah.
But they're fixing stuff. They're fixing problems. But it's just down to, this was a good idea. Like, dramatis personae was just a dumb idea for a show, period. This wasn't. They at least got that right. But they still can't put it together. And it's even more infuriating. Because it's like, you're almost there.
Because they're so close.
You're almost there now. This isn't like, there's a part of you during Babel or Dramatis Personae or one of the just awful season 1 episodes where it's like a part of you just kind of shuts off and you enjoy it for what it is. But this one is like, the first act is solid, the second act, and everything falls apart in the third act. That's been like 4 times now that's happened this season. And it's just, you're just like, fuck, do they run out of money mid-episode now? You know, like, what is their and so I think that, and we know they fix it, but right now, this is just where you are in the show.
Right. All right, guys. Do you guys want to know? What the good folks of IMDb think of this episode? Did anybody cheat and look?
I did not.
I'm trying not to.
All right.
I've been looking around it, but yeah, no, it didn't hit the center of my eye.
All right.
I bet people. I'm gonna say 6.6.
6.2.
It's a 6.5. 550 people.
Fuck you, man.
Yeah. I was gonna say 6.5. It's like, okay.
And that's 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, that Wade has either got it or been pretty close. Yeah, I think most people agree with us. I mean, they say the D word on here, and that kind of raises some eyebrows, I'm sure, for the super fans.
Yeah.
But, last week they brought up the Dominion as well, right? So maybe we could kind of...
Two ago.
No, it was the Quark is in love. In love.
That's the first time they bring up the Dominion.
Yeah, so that was like 2 or 3 episodes ago. So and then so clearly they're trying to do some breadcrumbs. You know, they know what they're doing something sophisticatedly. So gotta give them some credit for that.
Which is weird. Yeah, they're doing it in a weird way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's all shoehorned
that's
in.
True.
Yeah, they're running down the clock with all these slush pile scripts, I guess. And it's like, well, what can we do with this episode that is a throwaway episode? And instead of doing the episode, making the ideas that would make it good, they do the episode that we got, where they just deal with the characters and don't worry about the theme of the episode, trying to wrap that and make that work. And then also they drop in like 1 or 2 hints.
Yeah,
because they know they're going to get to it. Yeah.
Well, what do we got for next week?
Next week is a episode where Prince Humperdinck comes to the station. Chris Sarandon opens up a casino to rival Quarks. So, and shenanigans ensue.
Oh, so we got us a whole what's his name from Deadwood coming in.
Oh yeah, like Powers Booth from Deadwood.
Yeah, Powers Booth. Yeah.
The Shays on Me opens up on Deep Space Nine, and it starts everyone's evil machinations. Yeah. Deadwood was so good.
It really was.
Is there a Deadwood podcast? I guess that's a conversation for somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah, if you're just into Star Trek and never watched Deadwood, if we do anything right, you can watch that.
But Deadwood's good, people.
Yeah.
All right. We're waiting on you to say it, Hugh.
All right. 3 to beam out.
Beep.
Yeah, you're healed.
All right. And that was The Kickers of Elves, Rules of Acquisition on Sanctuary. One of the things that stuck out about this episode was the third act and all of the third act problems that we've had watching this episode. And I did some research about that. And one of the things that we did during this episode, and we kind of talked about Boner and the actor who played Boner and his problems. At one point in this podcast episode, there was a little bit of conjecture without very much support that maybe that the reason why he isn't so active in the third act is because maybe there were some problems that we just weren't aware of. I researched this as much as I could, and I could find nothing to support that. As far as I know, everything I read, his performance and behavior while making this episode was fine. He's a professional guy, and we don't want to say anything bad about that, or suppose anything bad about him. The real reason why this episode was sort of a mess in the third act was because Michael Piller decided to change the ending different from what Frederick Rappaport, the actual guy who came up with this with Gabe Escos and Kelly Miles on the writing staff. Rappaport commented that the idea for Sanctuary was pretty basic. Alien boat people are rescued by Deep Space Nine and millions of more are coming behind them. That's basically what they had, and it isn't working. End quote. On Rappaport, Rappaport created the characters Hanik and Tumak and plotted the ending in which the Skira were allowed to settle on Bajor due to their botanical skills. But I guess that wasn't working. Michael Piller decided to plot on a downbeat ending to this episode and invert the happy ending of Frederick Rappaport's original teleplay. Pillar felt that this episode would carry more resonance if it didn't turn out okay for everyone. Rappaport kind of admits that his own ending wasn't really working, so he was okay with Pillar changing it. Here's a quote from Rappaport. Quote, "I worked hard to come up with a twist for the story, but the happy ending just wasn't as strong as what we ultimately came up with." Michael Pillar pointed out that in reality, when a foreign group of people come en masse to someone else's homeland, the natives seldom greet them with open arms and allow them to stay. Michael felt that the Bajorans should do the same thing, and I was pleased that he saw it that way. It was a brilliant stroke, and I admire his guts, end quote. Well, I think it's pretty strong that we disagree on this episode that you just listened to with that assessment, that it wasn't a strong ending, it wasn't very interesting, and it was kind of weird that you would treat a refugee story as such just because it's realistic. I don't know. If you're making a show about a hopeful future for people, why not tell a story where refugees are actually welcomed? So maybe not for their botanical skills, but just for the fact that they, need help and that people were able to help them. I don't know. It seems kind of weird to consciously take these dark turns for your hopeful space show, but I guess that's in the end what Deep Space Nine was known for. We also talked in this episode about the actor who was also in the trouble with Tribbles, and his name was William Schallert, and he has a quote that I found too. Quote, "I never watched the show, so I was at a bit of a loss. The only person I knew on that was Armin Shimmerman. I knew him from our both being involved in the Screen Actors Guild, and I knew his wife as well, Kitty Swink. I'm on the trustees of our pension and health plan, and she's been very big on that. I like her a lot. She's really an intelligent person. I had a scene with Nana Visitor. I had to play a musical instrument. It happens that I'm a trained musician, and I've played piano all my life. I had been a folk singer at one time, so I could play guitar, but I'd never played wind instruments. This thing they gave me had nothing on it to suggest where your fingers were supposed to go, and they were playing a specific tune. So I had to sort of imagine in my mind where the various fingers associated with the various notes. I did my best to duplicate the tune of the song was. I kind of got close, but I didn't get exact. That was actually the most difficult thing I had to do on the show. The acting part was fairly simple. So there you go. This guy was just somebody who was connected through the Screen Actors Guild, and sounds like Armin Shimmerman got him the job. So he wasn't even familiar with where Star Trek was at the time in 1992 or 1993 or whatever. So I thought that was interesting. These notes that I found came from the official Star Trek Deep Space Nine magazine and the Deep Space Nine companion and Memory Alpha. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. Thanks again for listening to the Rules of Acquisition remix. It's kind of fun for us to visit these old episodes and bring some new insights and new information to light that have happened in the meantime. But anyway, thanks again for listening. We hope you come back next time. One to beam out.
Did you know the video may have broken my processor arrays? I know I am supposed to talk about the show, but I'm not sure. A ridiculously attractive woman was dancing in a gym. My motherboard must have crashed. I mean, I started imagining so many things, dirty things. We fucked in the shower, of course we fucked in the shower, we fucked, but then we were surrounded by sheep. There was a baby. The dancer grew like a cat face, a tiger face, but she was pushing into me, her titties, so it was hard to care. This could not have really happened. I'm just going to take myself offline until further notice. Kanye. Totally reasonable. Doesn't that piss you off? Did you know that some podcasts have more reviews than us? Please review us, we need to feel loved sometimes.